I'm I'm
Brian.
I'm telling the story about that I don't understand time zones.
All right, all right. Who does?
We should all be on one time zone. Some of us would just have to work in the dark.
Yeah, we do in the wintertime.
I know, and right now you work only in the sun.
Yeah, it's crazy. Can you hear me well?
I
Does it
can hear
sound good?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah,
So,
so it's yeah. There's no darkness at this time of year, and in the winter is only darkness, basically.
I've heard stories that
And
that makes people a little crazy. Is that true?
yeah, I mean it's not really bad here, or I mean it does. I mean depends on what you compare to, but a lot of people have problems with that. But if you go far up north, there's actually only darkness and only a season where the sun is out. So that makes you kind of crazy. So I actually saw a show the other week about that, a Norwegian girl who kind of she lived up there, but she had really big issues where there was only darkness, but in the summer it was kind of worth it. So she was like back and forth.
Well, you know what they
Yeah.
say about Norwegians anyway.
What do they say?
I don't actually know. I thought there was I figured there was some Scandinavian joke in Sweden about Norwegians and Danes, and you were going to fill in the
Yeah,
line.
yeah, 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 absolutely. There's a lot of jokes about Swedish and Danish and all that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway,
But we leave it.
we'll
Let's
leave
leave
that
that.
alone.
Yeah,
And I'm going to tell my story. So I'm outside today, and part of the reason
yeah,
because you and I went back and forth with schedules, was
yep.
I bought a new house today, 15 minutes ago.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I'm standing in the backyard of
15
my
minutes ago.
well 30 minutes ago now. So
Congratulations.
I'm standing in the backyard of my new house that I raced to
Yeah,
so that I give you the time
cool.
you deserve. So sorry that I'm not
Can
in the
we see the
office.
house?
It's a disaster. Like,
All right.
I don't know the Swedish term for fixer upper.
All right.
It needs a
You
lot
need
of
to fix
love.
it. Yeah, I see.
So there's a bunch of people here, so let's talk about chocolate because that's why you
Yeah.
wanted to join, not making jokes about the Swedes or talking about my new house. But so tell us your story because you haven't always done chocolate, right?
No, no. I've been a chef since year 2000. So working in high-end kitchens and in big catering kitchens, kind of like in every type of kitchen there is,
Right.
I've been into. So I've always been adaptive and very all-round in my cooking skills. Um, but the part of cooking that I love the most would be like 2, 3 star Michelin restaurants. But working at that kind of environment is doesn't really suit me with the late nights, the hours, the low pay, all that. It's just not for me. So that was kind of a mismatch. And I love the cooking, but I didn't love the way of working. So the last, like, I would say that so I've been in the business or as a chef, working as a chef since 2000, so that's plus 20 years. For the last 10 years, I've been involved in running different food companies as a co-owner, but still a chef. So I did the chef's part of the creating the products and all that. But also been part of the running the business part of it, and that is something that I've been learning a lot the last 10 years. And it was kind of I didn't really have the courage to start my own business because I had seen what can happen in a company on the bad side.
Right.
So I was very, very hesitant in starting my own business at first. Uh, so I was kind of like, I wouldn't say forced into it, but so I was working in a restaurant, and my restaurant manager, he saw what I could do because I was making bonbons in the restaurants that I was working in. Um, and the restaurant manager, he saw what I could do, and I wanted to do a big like bonbon tray for the restaurant, but that was not something that the head chef would support, or he wasn't. No, yeah, he didn't want to go for that.
Right.
So so the restaurant manager he quit the restaurant and he said like, Kalle, I'm quitting now, and I'm gonna start up a wine bar. That's why I'm quitting. So when we're opening up the wine bar, I want your chocolate in there. And surely he called me 8 months later and said, "Where's the chocolate?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't have a company. I do have to have a company to be able to sell to you. So I'll do the least thing, least steps I can do to have a company that is able to sell chocolate. So I took absolutely the last money I had at the moment because I was really broke from the last 10 years of being co-owner of businesses that ended up in bankruptcy. So so I took the last little pieces of money that I had, which was $200, to buy 2 chocolate molds and some chocolate and a can of color, cocoa butter color that I did not know how to use at all. um, so yeah, so I took the money, made up a few chocolates, and they sold really well. So I had to go back to my home, make some more, and they sold out again. So I took all the money that I earned from making the bonbons back into the business. I was working half time as a chef and half time as a chocolate maker at home. So that was my how it started. So I was kind of like I was very hesitant that I had to because I felt like okay let's give it a try. I never started my own business with my own idea, with my own perspective, my own everything, and it seems to be working really well so far.
Well, you have become one of those Instagram influencers too in chocolate. So, I guess it's working okay.
Yeah, yeah, which is kind of weird to me, but I don't know. Just it feels a little bit weird when people say that, but I guess I am.
Yeah, I get that too. Like people are like, "Yeah, I watched that video," and I feel like
Yeah,
I know you, and it's just like,
yeah, because yeah,
I, I you
because
know,
we see you a lot because you're in front of the camera talking, and that's like creating a relationship.
right,
So
you
that's
too.
why we feel like we,
Yeah, I mean, but you're like that too. Like you're one of those people that's sort of always around when you start looking
yeah,
for chocolate. I mean, and I think the internet doesn't care where we live, right?
no,
It doesn't matter that you're in Sweden. It doesn't matter. I mean, other than today when it mattered how many hours ahead you were. Um, I mean, I think
absolutely,
the nice thing about it is that we're able to share our passion, right? And clearly your
yeah.
passion shows through all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I want to do. I try to not just post a picture. I try to write something about the picture or something that's on my mind at the moment about business, chocolate, whatever, flavors, creating recipes or whatever it is. Um, I feel like that brings more to the table and a little more substance and I don't know. It's kind of a sometimes kind of a diary.
Right.
Yeah, diary.
Well used word, used appropriately.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it feels kind of nice to just write sometimes about things that's on my mind, and it works well, and people seems to like it, and I feel like it brings me a lot of joy and happiness to bring back some inspiration and knowledge to people that's in the business. That I mean, I love it. It's so much fun.
But that business that started in your kitchen at home that was selling to one shop
Yeah,
has grown to be this consultancy, right? And this teaching and all these other
yeah,
things. I mean,
yeah.
and that's probably not possible without that social media, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, the social media is a huge part of the success uh, for sure. Actually, I had to like, you have to work smart sometimes and think where you put your time. And because social media is here, there's some opportunities within social media that you can take advantage of to make your life a little bit easier. I would be able to run a business and sell chocolates 100% of the time, and just produce and sell. That would be a great business because there's a lot of, I mean, the market is awesome here. People love it, and it's fairly easy to sell. So I could do that. But for me, that is taking just too much time and wear on my body to be 100% producing, especially when I'm alone, doing everything alone. So with the social media, and also with the corona, what happened to the world was that I had to completely rethink everything. I was in my, everything stopped at a certain date. I think it was like somewhere between like 9th of March here in Sweden, where every single restaurant, everything just completely took a halt.
Right.
And so, and my business had been running fairly well with selling chocolates, and I was like, Jesus, I can do this. This is, I mean, I'm running a business and it's going well. So what shit is gonna happen? What's coming? I mean, I felt like this is going too well. So what is coming? And surely enough, something happened. Something huge.
So we can blame you for the global pandemic. That's good. At least there's someone to blame.
Yeah, absolutely, do that. So I had to completely flip my thinking of how to run the business. And first I started to sell online, but the time and the money I spent, and relatives and friends that had to come in and help me the boxes and help out so much, I felt like that's not a sustainable business for me to call in people that's not working for me to do things to make the business work.
Right.
That was like not something that I felt that was sustainable. But the hit with Corona was so hard that I was paralyzed for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I didn't do basically anything. I just stopped. I was in my home crying for a couple of days, like this is just going south. This is just going so bad.
Right.
But then I had my classes in my live classes, a few of them. But I started to do one-on-one classes in people's homes. So I took everything into alone my mom's car, put everything in the car, and just drove to people and had classes in their homes to have anything or something to do.
Right.
And yeah, so from there, everything just started to gel, where I felt like, okay, I need to do more. The demand for online things are huge now, so I just have to do something with that, and it's kind of turning into a really good thing from this really really bad thing that we're in.
Yeah. I think that's the hard part, right? I mean, chocolate, the big capital
Yeah,
C, has
yeah,
has been successful in spite of what's been going on in our world for the most part. Um,
yeah, yeah,
chocolate companies can't make enough product. Confectioners can't make enough. Can't sell enough. All that stuff.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean it hasn't been difficult, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that. I mean, the world hasn't continued to have the horrific effects of what's going on in the world, right? I mean, like
yeah,
you're telling your story. I mean, and we were talking before about that whole Instagram famous, right?
yeah,
Like COVID, there were some things that were very hard, but also there were some gifts that COVID gave me, right? I mean, in spite
yeah,
of the difficulties and the challenges and the people that I lost along the way. Um,
mm,
Professionally, I'm in a better place today than I was a year ago, or a year and a half ago, and it sounds like it's hard to say that because I know not everybody
Absolutely,
experienced
yeah.
that. Our friends did
No,
not.
I
Like
know.
my restaurant chef friends are not saying that,
No,
right? The friends that work in hotels are not saying that their life is better today than it was a year and a half ago. You
no.
know, but I mean, I think, you know, we were gifted with being in the right place at the wrong time. How's that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the strength for me was that I felt first when it all blew up was that I felt like I was vulnerable because I was so small. My company was so small, but just after 1, 2, 3 weeks, I started to realize that this is a strength in this situation because I can turn the business, I can change direction so fast
Right,
overnight. I can start to take another path.
right.
And I must say, I do have a business partner that is co-owner of my company, a small part, and he is, uh, he's responsible for helping me to rethink and take different actions. And some of the actions that we took because of Corona was his his ideas, and he was like, just do it, man. Just
Well,
what can you lose?
enough about Corona. Enough about business
Yeah,
for a minute. Let's talk about chocolate.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
you're a full culinary chef. So, like, when you think about flavor, right, and
yeah.
formulating a recipe, where does that start? Like, how do you start that idea with, I want to create a new piece today? Is it I
Mm.
had dinner last night and I had something that I really want to try, or is it I'm missing this in my line, or is it some other thing?
Oh, it's all of that in a big messy ball. I can't give you a straight answer because there's some flavors that has been lingering for 1.5 year. They're there, they're in my mind, and I'm just not doing it yet because I don't know why.
Right.
It's just I haven't done it yet. But some flavors they come up because I have something in my freezer and I got an inspo 2 hours earlier, and I just go do it on the fly.
Right.
So it's all over the place, really all over the place. But one thing that I'm very very I with flavor I always think of like flavor in volumes. So you can have passion fruit flavor and you can have like hardcore passion fruit flavor. So I hear a lot of people talk about like they want to do things to really taste a lot when you taste it, but sometimes I feel like my experience from the world from the chef's world, the savor world, um, where you kind of a lot more work with or compressing flavors or
Right.
doing reductions and all that. It's kind of hard to do in chocolates, but there are other ways that you can do to turn up the volume and balance your recipes so they sing a lot more in your mouth. And that's what I feel is my true strength in my chocolate making. I'm sorry that you can't taste anything on Instagram, but that's really what I feel is my strength when I work.
I like that you just said they have to sing. I like
Yeah,
that expression. That we have to create
yeah,
things that like turn up the volume and make it sing, I think is what you just said. And I think
yeah,
that's
and the
tough, right?
balance between yeah, absolutely, and the balance between two flavors or three flavors inside your bonbons, they can be great together, but they can miss some little. The balance can be just if you just turn the acidity slightly up on this flavor, the other flavor will come out and everything will be completely different. And it's just a few grams of that, or it's so small details that can really make things pop and taste completely different than what it did just 10 minutes ago.
Right, because our palate is only 12 grams big, right?
Yeah,
And 5 to 6
that
of
needs
those
to be an
grams,
explosion.
and 5 to 6 of those grams are the carrier. So they're
Yeah,
the enrobing, they're the chocolate shell.
absolutely.
And I think we have to take that into consideration too, right? We have to like
Hmm.
remember that there's a whole nother, we can change it by changing chocolates, but we can't change it. It's always going to be there no matter
Hmm.
what, right? That shell is there.
And the shell is gonna affect the overall sensations like a lot. I had a person who tried, he bought my cheesecake recipe, and he like everyone is very happy with it, but this guy he texted me and said like the cheesecake the flavors are not coming through. I can't really feel the citrus flavors, and it's a little bit bland. You know, like, did you really do the recipe? And then he sent me the images, and he casted the filling with really dark chocolate,
Right.
and the dark chocolate is just taken over completely. So just changing the shells are, win or lose.
Right. It's funny that the Swede in the conversation is talking about cheesecake, which is I think of as a sort of like an American item.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd buy a
And
cheesecake recipe from somebody from Scandinavia. I think I'd go to the American first.
well, do it or try mine.
I will.
So yeah, but I try to flirt with other cultures, and I did a Oreo cookie bonbon last year. It's not because it's huge here, but it's a lot more popular in the United States. So, and I have a lot of followers there, so why not flirt with them a little bit?
Right.
You know?
But are there some Swedish or Scandinavian flavors that you use that, as an American or somebody from North America, I wouldn't expect, or that are different?
Um, the obvious one, which is kind of boring to even say, is licorice, salty licorice. It's, in some people here eat salty licorice that is beyond salty, and it's something that is very hard to introduce to someone in North America or Asia or whatever.
Right.
But there are some flavors that are like cumin, fennel, stuff like that, which is great with chocolate, but not very common in around the world. So
Right.
there's a lot of like dried spices that we have here that is really good in chocolate, and I haven't used them enough, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think because we're such a global community,
Mm.
right? Like I think there's parts of the world that haven't really been embraced by chocolate, and I think Asian flavors are one group of flavors that you see a lot in other parts of the world in
Hmm.
chocolate. But you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
There's spices every once in a while, but they're designed to shock in some ways. They're not
hmm,
designed to be a flavor component. They're not subtle, right?
no,
They're not singing very well. They're not in a good orchestra.
no,
How's that?
no.
Like you were talking before, and
Yeah, I agree.
and I think it's
But
interesting
yeah.
that my assistant does a lot of our um, recipe development, and I think we spend a lot of time talking about, yeah, that flavor is great on its own, right? This
Mm,
flavor right here is great on its own, and this flavor is great on its own.
mm.
But when you put them together, you've got to find that
The
balance,
balancing act. Yeah.
right? And you've got to this texture now needs to change because you've got too much soft, you have too much crunchy, right? And
Hmm.
that it always is a balancing act, right? If you
Yeah.
really think about developing flavor.
Yeah. Some things that I did was thinking about in right in the beginning. I'm not moving away from it, but it's a great example. Is where I generally there are some fruit ganaches that you can make that are really good, and in general, making fruit ganaches is could be kind of tricky. So I hear a lot of people say like I want to do a raspberry white raspberry ganache. So I take some cream out and add some raspberries in there. And the percentage of raspberries you have in that ganache is not enough to bring the raspberry flavor forward. So that is gonna be a ganache that is kind of plain, and it's kind of raspberry, but it's it's not there. It's not singing. So what if you instead just make a proper, really nice white chocolate ganache with perfect texture, and then you do a raspberry fruit gel?
Right.
That is gonna sing. That is gonna pop. The raspberry gel is gonna be so much more have so much more acidity in it, so it's gonna balance the white chocolate. But if you're making a ganache where you just take some cream out and add some raspberries in there, it's just not gonna make it.
Right, and I think too the technology around our industry, so things like the things Valrona's doing now, right, where
Yeah.
the inspiration line, for example, right? So you take
Oh, yeah.
their yuzu inspiration, which is one of my favorite products in the world of anything, right?
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, it is like $25 a kilo or something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but you can create that acidity and that flavor that people don't even have to know what you're doing by using this one ingredient, right? So whether that's the Valrhona raspberry inspiration or a really great white chocolate with really great vanilla and cream notes, right? Or a dark chocolate that gives you fruit and raisins, right? I think what we're talking about is like finding all those puzzle pieces to put together, right?
Yeah, and turning up the volume. A product like that, the inspiration series, is like it's so easy to just add that and bring the flavors up a notch, because you can almost never have too much of the flavor. There's a balancing act, but the volume, the higher there is, the more hit it's gonna be for the customer in the mouth. They're gonna react and feel. And what I usually do, and I do a lot, is to amplify one flavor. So if I'm doing like my caramel bonbon, I do have caramel in it, but I don't wrap it up in dark chocolate because that's gonna take a little bit off from the caramel. So I wrap it up in caramel chocolate as well. So we have caramel on top of caramel. So people that love caramel, that is gonna be so much caramel that they have to take another caramel bonbon. And another example is my hazelnut bonbon. It's a really nice hazelnut canduya, but to amplify the hazelnut sensation, flavor, everything, I add a whole hazelnut to that as well. So it's like hazelnut on top of hazelnut instead of trying to balance it with something else. So it's like super clear for the customer. They love a hazelnut, and that's going to be a beautiful hazelnut flavor.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite chocolate brand these days?
Chocolate brand? Yeah, I'm using Flynn throughout from from start to finish.
Why?
By kind of a coincidence, because I was working with Flynn chocolate in the restaurant. That was the chocolate that was in front of me. So I started using that and was very I liked it. And when I started to make chocolate, like the first in the beginning of my social media journey, I tagged all the brands in there. So I tagged Felfling, I tagged Cacoberry, I tagged everyone. And the brand that I was using, which was Felfling, they reposted and liked and was like, "Hey, looking good." So I felt like, oh, they seem to be happy with my work, and that's great. That's a start. So I kind of asked them like, how do you do any collaborations? Can we, whatever? Do you do anything with people on Instagram? And they sent me a text back and said like, let me hook you up with our Swedish agent, and they'll take it from there. And I would say I had like 1,000 followers, maybe less. Just started out, I didn't feel like they would come back to me and say anything. But after a week, they actually did, and we set up a meeting in Stockholm and just I talked about my idea for the business, and they just hooked me up with some Fettling chocolate, and the distributor that I'm using mostly in Sweden, they have the only right to sell Fettling chocolates. So I just go with that, and I do also love the chocolate, and I do a lot of collaborations with the distributor that is distributing Fettling chocolate. So it's kind of just happened.
But there's a little more too, right? I mean, there's behind the scenes stuff about how Falkland sources and how their
Oh yeah.
sustainability that is really a
Oh yeah.
part
Absolutely.
of your personal culture as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. That was really a big like bonus and a key factor. I felt like I'm gonna stick to this. So at first it was like I like it, and great contacts, and they were nice to me. But then I felt like they are dead serious with the quality and sustainability and all that. So I felt like really good just continue to work with them.
Right. And there's more on your website about that. There's a whole page
Yeah,
dedicated to sort of your relationship with Falkland and why Falkland.
yeah, yeah. So one thing that I can say very short is that they sign up with the farmers for 3 to 5 years, and they pay a lot more than usual brands do. So the farmers feel safe, that they do have money to spend on equipment and pay adults to work.
Right.
And in return, Falkland, they get perfectly sourced and produced beans coming back to their factories. They have a pristine product to work with from start, and so they have a very very great mindset. They focus on the number one. I've been in their factory, and I met them in Switzerland, and there's no doubt that they are quality number one.
Right.
Rest comes after.
Yeah, my current mentor, my former boss is Anil
Yeah,
Rivera, and Anil is one of their corporate global chefs
yeah,
for Asia.
yeah,
So
yeah.
familiar with what they do. And hey, a question I forgot to ask when we were talking about flavor. So
Mm?
they can't all be winners. Does that translate into Swedish very well? There's got to be a loser. That you created
Yeah.
something and you're like, this is going to be the best thing ever, and you gave it to your business partner. Your business partner went, Kalle, what were you thinking? This is like the worst thing you've ever made. There's got to be one.
uh, yeah. I The funny thing is that I try things a lot, and it's kind of hard to remember everything I've tried and experimenting with. But I I don't know the name of the flavor in English actually. Um, I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to explain it.
That's right.
Can't really explain it, but I don't know. It's hard to think of. It kind of feels weird to say that, but there are a lot of things that did not work. Oh, I tried a flavor combination that I probably would make better today that I tried in the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
which actually would work, but I was clementine and thyme.
I could see it working though, but I could also see it not working.
Yeah, and it's that flavor combination is really really hard. I knew that from the beginning. I was like, this is gonna be tough.
Yeah, I
Uh,
I would have thought
so
grapefruit though in time,
yeah, maybe, yeah, good
but
work. But you have to work on it. really
Right.
a lot, and match it with the right chocolate, and it's gonna take a lot of work.
Right.
So
It's
I
something that
must
was said
say,
to me too, was never be afraid of the bin.
yeah,
Like if when you're
yeah,
experimenting and when you're trying, if you're afraid of the trash can, you're never going to
mhm,
succeed in creating something new.
absolutely. And I'm never afraid of just taking chocolate off the tray and off the productions. Like this is like 500 bonbons, but I'm not happy with them. I don't want to put them in front of the guests. Why would I
Right.
do that? So
Right.
I give it away, I give it to the kitchen, give it to people that would enjoy them, but it's not for paying customers. When they pay for my chocolate, it needs to be a perfect piece of chocolate that is giving them a great time.
Yeah. So you're still making chocolate, right?
Yeah,
You're teaching and you're consulting, right?
yeah.
What's next?
So what's next? Or I can just wrap up what I do at the moment and what I'm gonna
Okay,
add on.
great.
So I do online classes. I do have a fundamentals class where I teach all the basic steps, but in a very efficient and clean way. Um, I do sell recipes, like PDF recipes that are huge because I explain the recipe in a way that is very, very detailed with pictures and in-depth explanations. So the person that's gonna use the recipe is gonna understand the recipe from the core. That's gonna make them succeed with the recipe better. And I do sell chocolates in restaurants, and I do consultant like 1 hour consultants. So people, I call it troubleshooting. So people call in, I do an hour, I help them to solve their issues. That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna in the fall. I'm gonna have my first employee, so we're gonna ramp up the production a lot, and we're gonna go online with our boxes. We're gonna sell in Sweden online, and focus more on the public because I'm selling my chocolates in restaurants now. So I'm gonna move into selling a lot more for the public as well. And then I'm gonna finish off my fillings class, which is gonna be an online fillings class where I counted today 13 base recipes or 13 different types of fillings, and those fillings you can do in different ways. So you have a huge toolbox. And then I'm gonna do a pop-up in December in somewhere I can't tell right now, but it's gonna be a big pop-up in a very, very good spot in Stockholm where I'm gonna sell directly to customers face to face.
So you're a
So
busy
that's
guy.
what's going on. Yeah, it's gonna be busy, and I have my newborn son. He's 6 months old, so I have a lot to do. I canceled this Christmas production completely because he was expected in December. So I just called completely. December was completely off. I didn't do anything.
All right. Well, I don't know if I feel good about asking this question. Can I pencil you in for a trip to New York next spring to teach a class in person at Tomrick?
Next spring, maybe. Yeah.
How about we'll talk about that offline. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll email about
Yeah.
maybe there's a week you can come to the States and
Yeah.
you can do a class with us at Tomrick.
Absolutely. I would love to, and that's what I'm aiming to do. I do have some conversation with other companies around the world to come and teach live, but we called everything off because of Corona, of course. And now I have the babies. It's a little bit tricky for me to cut out some time for it, but I will for sure, you know, do things like that.
It's like it's like an 8-hour flight. Easy.
Yeah,
You know,
easy peasy.
you fly into Toronto. Once the border opens, you can come down and it's easy. We'll pick you up at the airport
Yeah,
and bring you down. Um,
yeah,
hey, so you're talking about classes, and somebody just asked your online classes. So register through your website. Can you tell everybody your website?
yeah. My website is chefjungstedt.com, and you have the classes there, live classes, and my online class is just up there. And the online class is still on my website. So you buy the class, you log in, and then you have the course inside my website. And it's the class that I have now is 8 lessons. It's pre-recorded, and you also have a little quiz after every all the videos, so you can kind of get reminded and keep you on your toes, that you actually do listen and can answer the questions. And also there's some PDF files that explains what I'm talking about a little bit more in depth, because some people, they like to hear and see. Some people, they do learn a lot from reading. So it's a little bit of everything. But it's a pre-recorded class, and you can access it whenever you want and go back and see all the videos as many times as you want. And also with the online class, it's kind of where you can't talk to me, which is an issue, because you want to ask questions, and questions pop up all the time. So I do have a Facebook group connected to the class. So all the students that taken my class, they have access to my Facebook group, where I do Q&As every week. So they can ask any questions about chocolate. So I can follow up and help people with the techniques and things that they are struggling with.
Very cool. So I'll go back a little bit. How'd you end up in food in the first place? Is it what you always wanted to do, or was it sort of an accident?
No, I sat on my mama's shoulder when she was cooking when I was like 2 years old, 3 years old, and I was very entertained about that. But from there, I didn't think about food at all. I played like every sport that you can think of, and I played golf on a very, very high level, but never made it as a pro, but played in a few pro tournaments and stuff like that. So golf was really my aim up until I was like 25. But I had to slowly give up on the dream. So I was just working on the side in kitchens. And when I had to give up my golfing dream, the more I learned about what I was doing with my work in the kitchens, I started to get more interested in cooking, the techniques and all that. So it was kind of a gradual process. And why I started with like the culinary school, that was just a coincidence, because I didn't want to sit in the bench reading and writing. I need to stand up and work with my hands. So my friend, he entered culinary school, and I said, let's try that. Sounds cool. So there was no it just happened, really.
Yeah, it does that. I think about my own story, and there was no professional golf involved, but things happen.
Yeah.
We're in the right place at the wrong time, or the wrong place at the right time, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, so I asked this question to everyone, and it sometimes works a little better with a North American perspective, but I'm asking it anyway, even though I may not know the answer.
Okay.
You're at the grocery store, and you decide you need a chocolate before you leave.
Oh yeah, that question.
So so you know the rest of it. So what's that mass market that chocolate that a global Instagram influencer chocolate should not want to buy,
What do I buy?
but can't help himself whenever he's at the grocery store?
I can help myself, but when I do buy some grocery chocolate for sure. I'm not like a chocolate snob that only eats the best chocolate in the world. My girlfriend taught me about the Lindt milk chocolate balls. The Lindt balls in milk chocolate. They're They're good. I can eat a few of them.
They're pretty
And
good, yeah.
I have to admit that I have bought them for her because I felt a little that I do want some.
We'll keep that between us. How's that? We won't tell
Yeah,
anybody else. We'll do it
yeah,
quietly.
yeah. No one knows.
Right. So I know it's late in Sweden, 2 hours later than we thought it was going to be, and I know you're going
Yeah,
on
it's not,
vacation, and you're going on vacation tomorrow.
yeah. As soon as we end this call, I'm on vacation.
Where are you going away? Are you doing anything special?
No, no, we're gonna stay in Stockholm, but we are renting a car so we can move around and do whatever we want for a month. So that's our plans for the vacation. So we're not having any flights or things like that.
Got it. So here's your opportunity to like plug anything you want, sell anything you want, talk about anything you want. I won't. You do what you want to do. Here's your opportunity. If there's anything you want to plug.
Oh my God. Yeah, it must be my fillings class that is coming this fall. I'll put up a pre-registration page very, very soon, where you can sign up, and when the class is online, you're gonna have a discount, and you're gonna be able to access the class before the release. And that class is something that I'm already proud of because I know what's gonna be inside it. But if you're taking the first class, this is gonna be like so much bigger and so much more in depth and so much more focused and angled toward professionals and home cooks that are a little bit more above what just making chocolates for fun. So I would say that my fillings class, look out for that. It's coming for you, and I'm proud of it already before I even release it.
All right. Well, it sounds like somebody needs some help. Some youngster at your house It sounds like that they're looking for dad.
They're down here on the yard. It's not my kids. My kid is inside, hopefully sleeping. We'll see.
That's always the
Maybe.
hope. Hey,
Yeah.
Chef, thank you so much for joining me. I know this has been our schedules haven't quite matched, and I don't know how to read a clock in Stockholm. So
It's
thank
all
you very
right.
much for that. And
Yeah.
that
Thank you
that
for
invi-
asking me to be here.
the invitation's there if you want to come and teach in the States. I don't know if you've taught in the States, but it could be your first. It could be your United States debut sometime next spring.
I'm ready. I'm preparing for it. That's what's in my mind.
All right, and we'll do it in person. Why don't we have real people in the room
Yeah.
as opposed to this virtual thing, which I love because it means I get to touch more people and talk to more people. But
Mm.
I think you and 16 of our closest friends, like
Let's do it.
banging out chocolate for 2
Absolutely.
days. How's that? We'll plan on that.
Hell yes.
All right,
Hell
we'll
yes.
talk about dates later. All right, you have a great
Yeah, let's do
vacation.
that.
Thanks for everybody for
You
joining
too.
us. And
Good luck with your house.
yeah. I'm looking around in the backyard. I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. I need to take a week off or something just to get the trees back into
Yeah.
normalcy. But anyway,
Okay.
all right,
All
Jeff.
right.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
Thanks. Join us next week
Pleasure
for
talking
another.
to you.
All right, bye.